All right, so it is another very beautiful evening, and we love Saturday evenings just because Duvet will come on. We're excited about tonight. My name is Natalia. Always such a pleasure having your company on a Saturday night. So tonight, another very interesting conversation about to go down. Now, a couple of weeks ago, a week or so ago, an excerpt of one of our videos, was splattered on social media and got a lot of different reactions. Tonight, we decided to break the conversation wide open. We're talking sexual consent. What does it mean entirely? How should, each of the genders pitch in and be concerned when it comes to the conversation on consent? That is where we're at tonight. I do hope that you sit tight and go with us through the entire show. Remember, we're also streaming on social media. We're live on YouTube, on Facebook, on IG, and on X. Now, tonight, my guest, I have Leslie de la Fiadoyo. He's a legal practitioner, and he joins us tonight. Leslie, how are you? Yeah? Day has been good?
So.
Yeah. Okay. And then I have Abna Benewa Fusu. She is a feminist and an activist. How do you say that? Feminist activist?
Feminist activist, yeah.
Feminist activist, okay. And then I have Amma Nshrumalabi. Now, she is a licensed professional counselor and a member of the Ghana Psychological Association. Did you know that I'm a member too?
No.
I am.
Wow.
See, surprise. So I'm actually a counseling psychologist.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm doing small practice. I'm getting into small, taking my sweet time. So tonight, sexual consent. Let me start with you, Leslie. Let's start from the legal angle, because I think one of the many comments that we got had to do with the legal angle. When somebody says sexual consent, what exactly does that mean?
It will surprise you to know that the law does not even define what consent is. Yeah. But you see, for you to know what something is, you should be able to know what it's not. So the law gives instances where consent will not be valid. The aim is not to define what consent is. The aim is to explain what amounts to an invalid consent. You understand that? So if you go looking through the laws of Ghana, you will not find anything as consent being defined.
Right.
You would only see instances where invalid consent or consent that is not valid is
Right.
explained, and the instances where consent that is given will not be valid in the eyes of the law. So to answer your question, no laws in Ghana explain consent when it comes to sexual activities.
Okay.
Yeah. But
So-
they give the instances
But they
where
give the instances.
consent will be invalid.
Right. Can you give us some of those instances?
Yeah. For instance, a person below 16 years cannot consent to sex in Ghana.
Right.
No matter how willing the person might have been from the conduct of the person. Where you happen to have sexual relations with such a person, then of course the laws call it defilement. You understand that? And then consent that is procured by means of deceit is not a valid consent in the eyes of the law.
Right.
Consent that is procured through
Coercion.
coercion, or what the lawyers call duress, is also not a valid consent in law. And also consent that is given under a certain mistaken fact, okay, is also not a valid consent. So if you invert all these instances, that is where you get a valid consent.
Right.
Yeah, so
Okay.
these are the instances where consent would not be valid, even though it has been given.
Even though it has been given.
Yes.
All right, let me come to you, Abina. What would you, or how would you define sexual consent?
I've actually defined it here. The consent is an emphatic, enthusiastic yes.
Okay.
Right. So
That's nice.
like he said, if I say yes out of coercion, that isn't consent. If you
Right.
lie to me and as a result of that I say yes, that isn't consent. Now, consent isn't only verbal, right? So I could say, yes, let's do this. But we know that in sexual relations, there isn't always that verbal agreement.
Right.
So we look at body language, we look at willingness, we look at my behavior around you.
Right.
If you try to kiss me and I kiss you back, I haven't said yes, but I'm kissing you back.
Right.
Enthusiastically, happily. I'm not even trying to pull away.
Yes.
I'm just all in like you are. That is consent.
Okay.
So consent is either verbal or indicated through action.
Right. All right. Amma, what would you say?
Well, I would say that it's more about the willingness, and the actions can be very deceptive.
Right.
More like you want to do it. Okay, we are having sex, sexual intercourse, and I'm sobbing. It could be that I'm enjoying it, but that is my perfect way of
That is
reacting
how
to
you
it.
express
Exactly.
your
So
joy.
it's quite deceptive. It's quite, you need a lot of sensating to understand and also deduce, is she or he saying yes or no?
Okay.
So it's quite dicey because it's more like the mind is ready to go all through, and body language, you're unsure, so ask questions.
Ask questions.
Eh,
All right.
yeah.
All right. That's really good. Now, let's, and I believe that, I mean, from what you all have said, consent obviously will happen, you know, in the bedroom or when sex is about to be initiated. Now, let's circle back to when we are all outside or whatever, before we get to the bedroom. What are some of the signs that may indicate or confuse people to believe that, oh, you know, maybe this person is willing, you know, or this person, oh, may like whatever is going on? Because I also feel that don't mislead nobody, right? If you know that this is not something I'm up for, please don't do the thing where you're letting people believe things, you know, and leading them to a place where you know the response or the body language or whatever will be a no. Like, can we start from the top? That's always my argument, because I feel like people will do, you know, be on the other side of the table from the top all the way, and then get to the bottom and jump to the other side. And then then what happens to the other person? Like, that's also, you know, to me, a certain level of unfairness happens on the other side of the table. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So from a legal point of view, tell me how you would look at a case. Let's say that, because I think one of the things that we talked about that, oh my God, people just couldn't, they were, you know, going crazy about it was, one of my guests said that, you know, you would have a conversation with a man and he would say that, look, when you come to my house for the weekend, I'm going to have sex with you. And you're going to say, no, I don't want to have sex. And you know, I felt like, but, you know, as much as you've decided that you're not having the sex and you know that's what he wants, why are you going to the house? Like, that is my argument. Because he's made it clear that you're coming to my house and if you're spending the weekend, I want sex. He's in his rights to ask for what he wants, right? You have decided, I don't want to have sex. And I feel like, okay, in this case, stay in your house and let him stay in his house, right? Wouldn't you say that's like a fair justification of the situation?
Yeah. I mean, looking at it from the legal point of view, you know, consent is not a continuum.
Right.
Consent is given. Consent can be given at each point in time, and then withdrawn or revoked at each point in time. So, applying it to your analogy,
Right.
where a man invites a woman and says, "Look, come over for the weekend. Let's have sex," and she says no. Okay, at that point in time, she has said no to your sexual invitation.
Right.
You understand that? So the consent has been revoked. You can't say that when she finally came over, it means that she has consented to having sex. No.
No, you can't say that.
You can't say that.
No, you can't say
You
that.
can't.
At all.
At all.
No, you cannot.
Yes.
I totally agree that you cannot.
So when she gets there, whatever that was said has to be renewed. You know,
Right.
has to be
You need to have the
renegotiated.
conversation all over again.
Yes.
No, but my argument is,
Yeah.
I don't even care about the renewal of negotiation. My argument is, don't even, like, if I said to you, Leslie, that I'm having a you know, like a weekend gathering, and it's like a NCNC, come with something, okay, to the house, and let's all contribute and chop.
Exactly.
Yeah? That is like, I've issued a certain, what would you call that? Like a caveat, like something. So if you don't have anything to bring, don't come. Don't
come.
Right?
That's a caveat.
Exactly. So, but as you know, you don't have anything you're bringing. Why are you coming?
You do call her quiet.
I mean, this is usually where I'm coming from.
I know, yeah.
Because I feel like, I mean, I'm all about definitely consent and what it means. Because one of the things I believe in is that even in the middle of sex, when a woman says no, you have
of
to
course.
stop.
Consent can be
I'm all
revoked
about
anytime.
that.
Yeah.
But I'm also about, you know, the other person involved and what their needs may be, which we shouldn't turn a blind eye on completely, you know? So, Abina, let me come to you. So, you know, a man, you know, is probably chirping you. He's like, oh, I'm trying to get with you up now. Maybe this man is a married man. You and him both know that, oh, he's married and all. But, you know, you're trying to kick it, whatever it is, you know. And he says, oh, let's go for whatever holiday, weekend, whatever. You know, and he's made it out, Charlie. How far, idea. And you have agreed to go, right? And for, you know, for some of these things, it's because for the most part, this man is probably bored out of his mind from his marriage or whatever it is, and is looking for some sort of excitement, which he's made you aware that this is what it is, okay? So you agree. Let's imagine, Charlie, he's paying some money, flying you to some other country and things like that. You know, only for you to get there to say that, please, no. I mean, I didn't come here for this. Like, I get that you're in your right to say that, but won't you say you're being unfair to this person who also put in all of the effort to get what he also wants? I mean.
Okay. So now you've qualified the scenarios.
Right.
So, but I still would want us to keep it open like it was in the previous show. Because a lot of the reactions were towards that, right? The discussion was that, why would you go to a man's house knowing he likes you without wanting to have sex with him? So you know this man wants to have sex with you. So you go in knowing that this person likes you, he would likely want to have sex with you. And so, and Natalia mentioned that for her, that's like a 50% consent. And that was where I was like, no, we can't say that, right? And so let's start from that premise downwards. So in a situation like that, as you said, there's nothing like a fraction of consent, like 10% consent, 50% no. Consent is either all in, like 100%, or not consent at all.
It's a straight yes or no.
Exactly. Now the scenario. Going to a man's house doesn't necessarily have to translate to sex, right? He could be a married man. He could be a single man.
No. This is not. I mean, with what I just said, I didn't say his household.
Yeah, I mean, anywhere, even a trip, right? Spending time together privately with a man you know likes you doesn't automatically translate to sex.
Okay.
Right? Maybe I like him too, and I'm going because I like him, and I want to get to know him. I want to spend time with him to get to know him. So we are getting to know each other. We don't have to have sex to know each other.
True.
So that's a thing, right? And so if I come to your house or go on a trip with you, understanding that you like me and I also like you and we want to get to know each other, that's not me automatically giving you access to my body.
True.
So you don't get to claim access because I consented to being in the same space with you.
True.
Right? And the argument, and I like that you mentioned that, he spends money and he also has to get something.
Not that he has to get something, but he
like
made his
to get what he
intentions
wants.
clear from the onset. Because usually for some of these things, like, so for instance, there's a trip. You're going, he's booking one room. You both are sleeping on the bed, on that bed together. And he's made it clear that this is what I want. And that is where my argument comes in that, but if I don't think I'm ready for that kind of thing, I won't even go in the first place.
Exactly.
Okay,
I would feel like...
Are we operating on the premise that he said, we are going on this trip to have sex? And then
He
the
may
lady
not have
said...
said it. He may not have said it
Expressly.
expressly, but again, we don't work with just words.
Yeah.
Our body language speaks a lot. This is a man that's probably rubbing his hand around your thigh every chance he gets, you know.
Yeah.
So obviously he hasn't hidden the fact that he would want to get more if given the
Yeah.
opportunity. So these things he doesn't have to say it like, you know, all the way out there.
Okay.
But if you're a grown person, you've been around men before, you can tell that this is what it is. And one of my arguments was that, but I don't like the fact that anybody will put themselves in a position where they have to fight for their right to say no, or to say, I don't want this, or whatever. Because when you put yourself in a place where it's dominant for the other person, right? If it is your house, or if you have paid to take me somewhere, it is your space. I may not be able to control how you behave.
True.
But we don't have to look at it as the person's space, though. So, again, let's operate on the premise you narrated now, that, okay, I know he's made it clear that he wants me, and maybe I want him too. And so I want to spend time with him. Now, if we say that you're putting yourself in a position where you have to fight for your safety, we are saying that, okay, this person I'm traveling with has no self-control. This person has the mind of a child. This person cannot regulate their emotions. This person feels that because he's paying for a hotel room to spend time with him, he automatically has access to my body. And this isn't just for women, right? And that's why I really, really wanted to comment on that, because when you push this narrative, you are telling men that if they invite a woman into their private space and she comes, they're entitled to her body.
No.
You are that's what it is, though. That's what it is. Yeah, you are saying, okay, you women, don't put yourself in this position. Don't put yourself in this position.
No.
What you're saying is that it's okay for a man to do that,
No.
and so don't go there so he doesn't do that to you.
No.
Yeah,
No.
that's basically what you're saying.
So you see,
you're excusing men's behavior.
So Amma, we're coming to
basically.
you, but let me say this: that anytime I hear people say that, you don't go to a man's house, I'm not comfortable with that statement. I could go to Leslie's house. He's a man, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not. I go there with no intention, and Leslie has no intention of touching me.
How do you know?
I know.
How?
Leslie, do you?
How? Do you know that a big percentage of women who suffer sexual violence are from men they know and trust as friends, or as cousins, as brothers?
No,
yes.
Leslie, okay, but
that's the
but
facts, though.
Okay, I get that. But what I'm saying is that if Leslie asked me that, oh, Natalia, this weekend, let's hang out or come and spend time with me, I won't go with anything in my mind that, Leslie will invite me to try to have sex with me.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that he has, maybe, but I don't know. Do you understand? But I won't go with that in my mind because it's not a conversation we've had.
Yeah.
So if you put it plainly that going to a man's house, I have a problem with that.
But the context.
It's the context for me, really.
A man who likes you.
Not just likes you, a man who has shown and proven so many times that any chance he gets, he would sleep with you. He has shown, he hasn't minced words with, he's made
I'm
it
not
very...
disagreeing with that,
Yeah, he's
right?
made it very clear. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that is not just any man.
Yeah.
Natalia,
is a
even
man
if it's a man I have flirted with,
Right.
even if it's a man I've exchanged nudes with, me agreeing to be together with him
Right.
doesn't equate
Give him
consent.
the right. I totally get that. But I feel that as you are not in that mood for that, that is my argument. Don't even put yourself in that position. That is my argument.
Lead us not into temptation.
Lead us not into temptation.
No, but
Amma, let's talk about that for a minute. I mean, the conversation on consent is really big.
Yeah, it's big.
And there's so many different angles to it.
Yeah.
How do the men also, because then we keep saying that, in the middle of sex, a woman can say no. Can a man also say no in the middle of sex?
Yes.
Or can a man also decide that, media, I'm not interested. It's not something that men
Yes,
do.
no, it's something men do. It's
Okay.
unfortunate that we don't hear more of it. Men are raped every time, every day. It's happening, but we don't get to hear about it. Now, there is something called existentiality. Your willingness to do and decide. So you know very well, this man likes you. He's giving you the apple. You go in. Friendship or whatsoever relationship is transactional. Now, before you associate with a person, you know that this is what I'm getting in return. There is no way so then you knew you were not going to give in. Yes, that's okay. Knowing a man who is very interested in you and saying no, and you knowing that it's against the law, you still go. You still go and enjoy yourself. That's where the unfairness comes in. Then again, the importance of communication is very important. It's very crucial. We are talking about in the middle of the sexual intercourse. What if her no actually means, why don't we change the position? So I'll keep saying, why don't you ask? Do you mean this position? Are you comfortable in the position? Should we change? What would you like us to do? Rather than assuming. Because he may not want to have sex, he or she may not want to have sex with you, but what am I getting? What am I benefiting? Now, no. Immediately, it's more like a flight or fight mode. Do I stop or do I go on? So there needs to be clarity. Now, in the issue of sex is a natural thing. You don't plan it. So you need to, it takes the mind to activate the sexual hormones. So it's activating. You know he likes, and men are motivated. They are just aroused by what they are seeing. And you know very well, you may be shaking that bum, irrespective of how the size, and it's turning him on. So he tries coming to you. You don't tell him off. That is where it begins. So in the middle of it, now he gets upset. That is where it's unfair. So he wants to justify himself. You've enjoyed my money, whatsoever. Why are you being unfair also? So in a space, a private space, there is no way you're going to say nothing like that is going to happen. Now communicate. I don't want to. Then again, he will ask, it's a dicey situation where we are always empathized with, that many are taking advantage of. In the sense that a man will not be too loud about being raped or coerced into any form of sexual
The offense is not even there. I mean,
It's not even there.
per the laws of Ghana, like a man can't be raped.
Well,
But men are always raped. There are men who are going through a lot sexually.
but they can't talk about it.
Exactly. So you, the woman, women, we are perceived to be smart. So a man starts lying to you, you get to know that he's lying to you. So what are you doing about it? Are you still entertaining him? What are your responses? Men, it takes me back, or I would like to introduce temperament. Now, all of us have unique ways of meeting our sexual needs, social needs, and even making decisions. Now, a man's way of feeling fulfilled sexually, having a woman smile at him, he's melted. He is taking it as a signal. So communication plays a major role. You don't want it, don't go close to it.
Right.
At all.
Okay, so we're going to go on a break. When we return, we're going to talk about, I like where you ended about how we communicate, maybe not verbally, but how our body language communicates. We will touch on that when we return. And I like what Abena said, that even if this is somebody you're sending nudes to, back to back, it still doesn't give him the right. We will come back to this conversation. I like where this is going. Hopefully, by the close of the show, we will have a much better understanding of consent in its entirety. This is Duvet on GHOne TV. My name is Natalia. Tonight, I'm joined by Amma, Abna, and Leslie. Leslie, what is your day-born name?
Kofi.
Kofi. Okay. So I have a Saturday, a Tuesday, and a Friday. And so it makes 2 Saturdays because I'm Amma as well. Quick commercial break. We will be right back. All right, welcome back. This is Duvet on GHOne TV. Another very beautiful night. Remember, we're streaming live. We're on X, YouTube, and Facebook. And tonight we're talking sexual consent. Before the break, Amma mentioned that sometimes, you know, maybe your words are saying no, but everything about your body is saying yes. Yeah, you know, people, and there's always some confusion. Now, Abna, let me ask you, is it also the case that sometimes there are some women who deliberately lead men on?
Of course. Listen, women, we have our hormones, we have our menstrual cycle. There are parts of the month where you're ovulating, you're horny every single minute of the day. Like you just cross your leg and
yes.
like so you don't necessarily want to have sex with someone. Sometimes you just want to flirt.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to sext. Sometimes you just want to have these conversations, right? It doesn't necessarily. This is the thing. When we're having these conversations, right? I want to look at the bigger picture. I always want us to look at the bigger picture, right? We flirt with men. We lead men on, not intentionally leading them on for nothing, right? The moment if a woman isn't horny, she won't even entertain any flirting from any man, right? So when we are flirting with men, we're actually in the mood. So it's not like, oh, I'm just leading him on for nothing. No, I actually feel like that and I'm communicating with him like that. Now, it doesn't mean it has to end in sex, right? So let's say I'm flirting with him and then he says, hey, let's do this trip next weekend, right? Or maybe this weekend or this week when I'm still ovulating and horny. And so, yeah, okay, let's go. Like, oh, I like this guy. I want to get to know him. Let's spend time together, right? And then I meet him and I really don't want to have sex with him. I don't have to do it because I flirted with him and it led us to this point, right? And when I talk about the bigger picture, that's why I was saying that these conversations, taking positions like that, like can be problematic. And it's not just limited to the particular context. It's a bigger picture. When we say things like that, we are telling men that it's okay to still force your way because she agreed and came. For me, it makes men believe. It's the socialization it gives men. We're already in a society where men are socialized to feel entitled to women's bodies. And I like that Amma mentioned that everything is transactional. It's become that way because men have been socialized to see women's bodies as commodities. So if I take her on a trip, that's me investing in getting sex from her.
Right.
And so if she carries her bags and come, I automatically have access to her because I've paid for the trip. Now, mind you, even if it was a sex worker...
Once the woman be feeding
let me land, right? Even if this man, even if I were a sex worker that this man invited on a trip, he was going to pay for the trip, the accommodation, my transportation, and food and everything, and still pay me for the sex. If you take a woman on a trip, you pay her for the sex. No, you don't.
Some people do.
Those are sex workers, and the men know that this lady I'm going with, she's going to want me to, before they take such women on trips, they know they have to pay for the sex. So they're not putting the tag sex worker on it, but they know they have to pay. And I've seen it happen. I traveled to hotels. I was at a beach resort. I saw them. Men group of men, groups of girls they don't even know from anywhere. They were just arranged for them. They came. They were paying for their rooms. They paid for their transportation. They knew at the end of the weekend they were going to pay them. Right? So those instances are there. So you don't conflict that or confuse that with a woman you're getting to know, and she comes with you and you say, yeah, because you've come, you have to give me sex. You're treating her body as a commodity, and that's what is generally the case. If we operate on this premise also, we are saying that you don't get room to get to know someone you want to be with without having sex.
Right.
And I don't care sex on a first date. I would happily do it if I feel like it. I wouldn't judge anyone for doing it. But that shouldn't be the norm.
Right.
If we push narratives like that, then we are making that the norm as well.
But I also agree that on the premise that men would, you know, they treat women as commodities, right? I will pay your way and I'll have sex with you. So in that instance, the woman agreeing to go is also, in a way, making that true, right?
But is she going because she believes her body is a commodity that she's exchanging for sex?
I think that
if it's one-sided,
because okay,
I think that we are trying to create a label for that.
Okay.
Now, nobody goes places where they are labeled. Where you are unaccepted, you don't go.
Right.
Now, instances where women want to feel appreciated, they go. Men who they feel comfortable with, they go. But still, that doesn't mean they are consenting to sex. Then again, you don't lead him on. The issue here is
how do we define leading on?
So you see, our different understanding to body languages, words, comes to play. Cultural backgrounds, upbringings, it all comes to play. So you are saying, I want to eat abitie. And he's thinking, okay, why don't I surprise her? You didn't ask for it. He went out of his way to do it for you. At that time, he's not expecting anything. Now he gets there, you give him a hug. It might be his love language. You see, it's more about the love languages. Temperament needs being met. And there is the miscommunication. So you don't want to. That's where I don't think anybody will deliberately want to champion that a woman who comes to you, or when you are good to a woman, it
automatically means
no.
But that's the norm.
That is not it.
That's the reality.
It's not the reality. No, it's not
that
a reality.
Is the reality.
I beg to differ.
So the reality is
The reality
if
that
a
men
woman
do you favors and they expect sex in return.
No, they are not expecting.
And if you don't,
it's more.
they
Look, the mind is like this.
Which world do you live in?
No, I live.
Basically the reality.
No, now your mind. You're telling me, okay, I'm here. I came on it just like this. I don't want you to touch me. Fair deal. You do me good, I'm coming to you. I want to feel comfortable, I want to feel good. I decide to dress this way. A man's mind is based on what he sees. Now, that is not giving him the green light to want to touch you.
Right.
Then you start acting in certain ways. That is meeting his sexual desires. So it's more about, you see, what we are talking about are unseen actions that goes on.
Amma, so remember in the beginning I said that consent doesn't necessarily have to be verbal, right?
Exactly.
So if I find myself in a space with a man and I'm trying to seduce him, let's say I'm deliberately trying to seduce him, now his reaction will be to then come closer, right? And mind you, like he said, men are attracted by what they see. A lot of the time, women even aren't trying to seduce. We move in certain ways naturally.
Right.
If I come to sit, the way in which I'm going to sit isn't the same way a man will sit. I'm going to sit in a certain way that a man will find attractive. Sometimes you're not even trying to seduce, right? But let's say you're trying to seduce, and he comes closer, and you say, oh no, like, I know that this is how it looked, but that wasn't what I meant, right? In that moment, he has to stay away. So it doesn't matter what he's done for me. It doesn't matter how I am looking when I tried sitting or like. It's always innocent. If we say that men are attracted by what they see,
but
so
in that moment,
if you show in any way,
Abena, would you also agree that if this whatever space you're in is the man's maybe a more dominant space for the man, would you agree that in that moment you should go your merry way? Because let's say you've come with him or you're spending the weekend in Leslie's house, and like you're saying, women, we're naturally, you're sitting with your back curved, this and that.
Yeah.
And maybe he misunderstands and he tries to touch you and you're like, oh, no, this is nothing like that. Why are you feeling?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree that in that moment, seeing as you're not on the same page, you leave?
If he insists,
Right.
right, that, okay, this is why you are here, or I feel like since you are here and I'm attracted to you, we should do this. Of course, I'm packing my bags and leaving.
Right.
Right? But if there's that miscommunication and we talk about it, it's like, oh, I thought that was what you wanted. You know, I didn't know you didn't want it. That's how I read your body language. Okay, maybe I misread. I'm like, oh, yeah, really, you misread. That's not what I want. And he's comfortable with that. And I'm okay with him being comfortable with that. And I can tell that, okay, yeah, I know this person. I know
cool.
if he's cool, I will stay. And that should be fine.
Right. Leslie, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I'm confused though.
He says, I'm confused. You're lost. You're lost. How did we lose you? Come back. Don't be lost. At what point did we lose you?
You see, when it comes to men, what you see is what you get. Okay. What you put out there is what you receive. Okay. So if going by your scenario, I'm all around you, I'm texting you, you know, now there's something called vibe. You know, like we are vibing, and I invite you over. I mean, of course, I didn't invite you over to come and read my law books. I mean, come on. I invited you over, you know. The implied consent has been given funny connotations. You know, come, let's vibe, let's Netflix and chill. You know, let's spend the weekend. I think women are not used to things being put there explicitly. I don't think any man would text a woman and say, hey, this weekend, 6 a.m., sex at my place.
Sleep with you.
Sex at my place. And then we're going like, wow. You know, I think that the general consensus amongst men is that put it out there, but rebrand it in such a way that her mind would extract it and know that, no, this is what he wants.
Right.
You understand that? So, yes, I get what she's saying. She's coming from I think she has the legal point of view in her mind that consent is given piecemeal by piecemeal. Okay, I gave this, you ate it. I gave this, you ate it. But that does not mean that there's a third one coming. Okay. But, like, is it really fair? Because, you see, if you take certain, like Guru, the musician Guru, he has a song called Samba. Samba. You know?
I've been trying to remember the title of this song for so long.
Okay, so
Thank you.
Sure. You know, but on the real, when I was in the university, there was this close friend of mine, a female, who liked a certain guy. Right? And then she said she had put in all the things that women would do.
Yeah.
And then the man they went out. I mean, Cape Coast has a lot of nice beaches. So they went to one of them, I've forgotten which one, came back. The man only hugged her and then entered the room. She was like, man, I came here to be satisfied. But you see, when we finally heard the man's point of view, also true.
Yeah.
You know, like honestly true. And she was telling us that the evening was perfect. I mean, it was romantic. They were holding each other by the beach. But maybe he has also learned his lessons. Do you understand that? Either because it occurred to somebody else or it has occurred to him before. So when they got to the door, he just hugged her. And then, bye-bye. And then he left and went to his hostel. The girl went home thinking that, no, he's a dull guy. He's gay. He probably doesn't like me enough. You see? So, empathy. If a woman is able to think this way, the same way the man is also able to think this way. We are all human beings, okay?
Right.
We are all human beings. So, what is good for the goose is good for the gander, and both ways.
Vice versa.
You understand that? So, I think it depends on the context. When it comes to, if this thing becomes an offense and the man is dragged to court or whatever, the consent will be taken from all of these instances.
Right.
He sent you, and you guys were already flirting with each other. He sent you an invitation. to the Bahamas, you know, you also went first class tickets, you booked the hotel with one big bed, okay, en suite, everything there. You slept in the same bed. And then you are later coming to say that you did not consent to. At what point in time? The only time I'll be and say, maybe during the act, you didn't consent to it, but he did not read your behavior well enough. And I don't think...
But he can also
What if
argue
she
that.
said no?
Yeah, but he can also argue that. I
So-
mean, I think
Yeah.
in that moment, would it not be a case of he said, she said?
He said,
You know,
you're
your word
backed by
against mine.
evidence.
Yeah.
You see, but for a man like me, even if everything is vibing, you know, and we get to that stage and you say no, I'll just leave you there and go for another room.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes. I'll just leave you there and go for another room. You see? And then it becomes my other friend's story that he left her there. He was trying to, you know, see whether...
Can I say something about that?
yes.
So I get this statement a lot, that if you say, if you don't do anything and you go, she will say, like, you don't know what's up. Or you're trying something and she said, oh, no. And then you stop, or she says stop, and then you stop and you go. She would say, I just wanted you to try harder.
Try harder, yeah.
And what I always say to men is, let it be that way, and tell her that, yes, you expect her to, like, happily communicate that they are,
explicitly.
yes. And, you know, as much as we are teaching men to learn consent, we're also trying to teach women to say yes when they mean yes. Because, and it's also because women's sexuality has been shamed so much, we feel like we have to play hard to get, so you don't think we are cheap.
Oh.
So it's a bigger
Yes.
problem, yes.
So that's
yes.
it.
It's
Oh,
a
yes.
bigger problem. That's the thing. If I agree, like if you have sex with a man on a first date, he's going to tell his friends you're cheap.
Hey, I
Yeah.
thought that rather happened
And
in
so
the
Let
women's
me
camp.
ask you a
No.
question,
So,
Leslie.
but I
If
wanted
you-
to say that. I wanted
Okay,
to
go
say
on.
something to that as well. Consent is hot. Like there's nothing, your friend's situation, there's nothing hotter or sexier than a man seeing you to your gate and asking, can I kiss you? That's like, if you are afraid of her, you know, you going home and she later saying, oh yeah, we are John boy, like you couldn't even do anything. Like, can I kiss you? That's hot. Every woman would love that.
But there's an expression called "he stole a kiss from me."
Yeah.
You know?
But
And they
that's
say it in a
also
romantic
problematic.
way.
That's very
So,
problematic.
Yeah, Leslie, can I ask you something? If you were getting to know a woman,
Yeah.
right? You've met a woman, or you guys are talking, and because I know that sometimes men ask a lot of stupid questions, and so maybe you go on a date and you ask her something like, "No, maybe when was the last time you had sex?" And she says, "Right before I came to meet you." What would you think of that woman?
She, what will I think of such a woman?
Say what came to mind.
Yeah, say what I know. Don't hold back. Why are you holding back? Yes. What would you think of that woman? Because you guys have spoken. She's told you she's single, right? You guys are getting to know each other.
Yeah.
But the conversation of, oh, when was the last time you had sex? And she said, oh, right before I came here, I had sex.
She's truthful, and that's attractive.
Really? Really?
This is a thought about answer.
No, you see,
This was not the original
no,
response.
you see, like I nearly said she's truthful, but I had to hold
This
myself.
was not the original
No,
response.
this was the not even know,
And that I
not even the
agree,
devil knows
Abena,
the
because-
thought of man.
Because I was saying that one of my guests, the other time when she was here, she was telling me that, you know, typically when you meet a man and you start getting sexual with them, you need to ease them into it. Supposing you're a woman that is very sexual, like you have a high libido, you need to ease the man into it to see his threshold, right? Before you unleash the dragon. Because if, you know, on the first night you go and lay it all on him, he may not take it very well. And he'll think that, hey, but what kind of woman is this? Like,
Hey.
I don't know women to behave like this.
Sir.
Yes.
But I don't say that, me too.
I don't
So sometimes I think the religious guilt,
know. Right.
Yeah.
because religious
That's what I'm
women
about.
are to be, or sex, no sex before marriage.
Right.
So, okay.
No, it's more for me. It's more like if you do that, then he's like, okay, how did you get to have these experiences? Like,
How did
how
you get
so
here?
many-
How did you get
So
here?
then they say, oh yeah, so she's promiscuous because you couldn't have known how to do this with just one man or two.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, you've been run through. And they're like, okay, Wasai, I don't want help.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think that they need education. When
Oh,
you
of
meet,
course.
we have to be educating them, because what you are saying, it's not too new, because I've had my fair share of. But it gets to a point where you have to rise above the norm and reality. Now, okay, this is what it is. A man wants to always get touchy. He does something for me. He wants sex in return. What about me changing the narrative? Now, you do this for me, I do same for you. But women, we mostly want to be on the receiving end. Well, that is the point. Oh,
That's not true.
hold on.
That's not true.
Just hold on. Now, always being at the receive, the signal, it's the communication and the understanding of how he or she is getting your signals. So it's about time we educate, but not based on it that it's a fact, it's the reality. Because there are so many open-minded people out there, and lots of them. So you might be thinking, oh, doing this is going to make the man, or me taking this, it means he wants sex. Some men have clean hearts. Until you dig
They're the
deeper.
minority, though.
Yeah, they are.
That majority, there are a lot.
Really?
There are lots of men like that.
Oh no, I believe
There were
they are
lots.
the
No,
minority.
They are the minority.
because
The
of-
clean-hearted men are the
Well,
minority.
They are
I
the
think-
minority.
I beg to differ.
Really?
I beg to differ.
Show me
because-
where they are.
That is the question you should be asking.
Exactly, because it's
Show
not
me
like
where they
saying
are.
every man wants sex
Yeah.
or every woman is a gold digger. Until you go inside, because every woman, every man has had their own fair share of experiences with women and men. So you can't generalize and say it's the reality. It's
true.
never the
But
reality.
usually we're
But we
working
judge
with...
based on the lived experiences of women. If 100 men, if 100 men are saying, all of us, let's take 100 men and then 100 women, and 100 men are saying, we are all very kind men. We are just decent men. We are just decent human beings. We are not doing things for women to get something back from them.
Okay.
And there are 100 women, and 80 of them are saying, I've met men from this group of 100 men who have done this and that for me and had wanted something in return. Which statistics are you going to work with?
So why don't we try that? Let's
No,
put
but
it
then we have.
Yeah.
That's what
Okay,
I'm
so
saying, that
I get
the
your
reality
point.
is that
the
we
reality
have.
is what you're saying, but
Yeah.
now why don't we change the narrative? My point is, let's change the narrative.
But we
A man
can't
may
change
think-
that. I love that you're saying that. But we can't change that narrative if we keep saying that you know he's interested in you and he's going to pay this and
But
that.
that's
and
also
you know,
the reality.
so don't go.
That is also
No,
the
but
reality.
if you
Lost
say
again.
that, if you say that,
Please come and find
then
me.
if you say that, instead of teaching the men that when you do things for women, don't expect something back. You're rather teaching them that if you do things for women and they come to you, you should get something back.
No.
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
communication.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we're
Alright,
doing.
so
We're
gonna go on a
communicating
break.
the truth.
Abena and Emma, we're going to go on a break. And I believe that sending a lot of signals causes a lot of problems. People should learn to communicate explicitly. Once upon a time, I was going to get a job at this place. And the man who was supposed to employ me for the job, you know, took me through whatever I needed to go through. And then I came back to sit in front of him and he said that you're one of my best candidates, but I will not employ you because I want to sleep with you. He didn't mince words. He said it in my face, you know, and that day I went with a friend and up until today, and he's a big man, he's in our society. So every time maybe he's doing something, I don't know, he's on TV or something, you know, my friend and I will always say, hey, this man. Because he didn't mince words. He said that I will not employ you because I want to sleep with you, and I can't do that with people I work with, so I will not employ you. No. And I went home, I was really sad, I was broken because at the time I really needed the job. So I was really broken. But when I got home, I completely canceled him out of my life. Like social media, I took him out of everything. And even at the time, social media was not this right.
That's right, yeah.
You know, but I completely cut him out of, you know, everything. Because he made it clear, this is what he wants. And then I also took a stance, you know, which usually would help. When you see, if somebody makes it clear that they are coming in this direction and you don't want them to come and hit you, move
direction.
to the other direction so that there's no collision. Quick commercial break. We'll be right back. This is Duvet on GHOne television. Tonight it's heated, and I love tonight's conversation because these are things that we all need to know and learn from so we don't make mistakes or end, on the wrong side of the law or, a person's heart or whatever. Sometimes it's not even about the law, but knowing that somebody's pained because of you may not be, the best way anybody wants to live. Leslie,
Yes.
tell me something. If, I don't know, I end up in some man's house, whether by accident or coercion or whatever reason took me there, I end up there and this man doesn't hear me say no and actually goes ahead to sleep with me even though I haven't consented or I don't want it, yeah? In that instance, what am I supposed to do?
Well, in that instance, then it becomes an offense. It becomes a very serious one.
Right.
That's what the lawyers will call rape.
Right.
Because rape is having unconsented sex with a female who is 16 years and above.
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm 16 years and above.
You're 16 years and above. So
Right.
you just have to trigger the criminal proceedings process. You have to report him to the police or the institution that be. And of course, I mean, his side also has to be heard. But you see, most of the time, I dare say that the person who goes to the police the first or gets there first becomes the complainant, like everlastingly.
Right.
Okay. And even before the other person gets there, there's a certain opinion that has been formed. Okay. So, but in normal practice, the person who goes to complain would have to hear the other side of the accused person. The story of the accused person. Then, if both of them present their case before the police or the authorities, based on what has been given them, if the police find that, well, from the look of things, this is what probably happened, then that's what the lawyers will say, that then criminal liability arises from the set of facts. Then the Attorney General will give the advice that, hey, from what we have seen, okay, criminal liability arises from the set of, so go ahead and then prosecute the matter. Then it becomes what people call rape case. You understand that? Now, a good defense lawyer knows that the only thing he needs to the only thing he needs to drive across is the element of consent. Because consent is what the lawyers call a complete defense.
Right.
Do you understand that? There are two types of defenses. There's the partial and then the complete. The partial just reduces the gravity of your offense and then the accompanying punishment. So if you've murdered somebody, and you're able to put in an excuse or a defense like provocation, then the gravity of the offense of murder reduces to manslaughter.
Right.
And whilst the offense itself is reducing, the accompanying punishment is also reducing.
Right.
You understand that? But with consent, once you plead consent, once you prove consent on the part of the woman, then it becomes a complete defense. You understand? It becomes a complete defense to the sexual activity that happened between the two of them.
Right.
So that is how it's going to play out legally. That is how
Right.
it's going to play out legally. So that's why I said that a good lawyer would put in all these piecemeal. There's something called circumstantial evidence. Okay, circumstantial. What are the circumstances? What's the circumstance screaming? He got to know you. He was groping you. You were seen, in certain compromising positions. That evening, you were heard telling others that, oh, Charlie, I'm going to spend the night at his place. So everybody was giving you fans and the rest. We could not have followed you into your bedroom. You understand that?
To see what happened
No,
afterwards.
but a good lawyer would take that thread and weave the garment of consent for you.
Right.
Do you understand that?
Which is unfair, Abena, right? Which is unfair. But let's take we're going to take our sex position of the week when we return. I don't know, but I feel like we won't get to the bottom of this on this episode alone, honestly. But let's get our sex position of the week. We will be right back. position of the day. Pair of tongues. This is one of the simplest but sexiest positions. He lies on his back while she kneels on top and guides him deeply inside her. The tongues in the position name refer to the woman's vaginal muscles. For him, according to the Kama Sutra, the woman must draw the man's penis into her vagina, press it and hold it there for a long time so that he feels enclosed, as well as sitting still and squeezing him with her muscles. She can massage the length of his penis by bobbing up and down. Pair of tongues. Something that I know Leslie's gonna, try tonight when you get home, right? Not tonight. Later in life.
Had a lot of cases with you.
All right, so that's our sex position of the week. Abena, something you've tried? Did you see that? Something you've tried?
I wasn't paying attention, but if it's something that's pleasurable, I definitely would.
Okay. Amma?
I would love to try.
You would love to try. All right, so back to our conversation. Leslie did say that, if the defense lawyer is good, he's going to weave the consent for you. And I was asking Abner, that seems unfair, right?
It is, but I also know that, I'm not a lawyer, but I do know that even if there are all these circumstances, like he mentioned, circumstantial, if they still get to the point where, yes, all of this happened, I told my friends I was going to have sex with him, but when I met him, there was a turn-off, and I wasn't interested anymore. So I said no, or I didn't say no, but when he was touching me, I was pushing him away, making him know that I don't want this. Leslie,
Yes.
the judge will take that into consideration, no?
Yes, of
that
course.
At that point, I said no, so he should have stopped, right?
Yes, he will.
That is if he admits to what you actually said in the bedroom,
Exactly.
because in the bedroom it was just the two of you.
Yeah.
And obviously a man who, Charlie, you're about to slap this on him, he will defend and lie if he must and say that, no, you didn't say no such thing.
But that's how almost all law cases are, court cases are.
Yeah.
It's, you did this, I like this person's point of view, that person's point of view.
Oh, not
and they
always.
decide.
Sometimes it's
Sometimes
not-
the evidence.
Sometimes there's evidence.
Yeah.
You've gone to sign something, it's your signature, it is, you can't
Exactly.
lie.
Yeah.
But then there are the circumstances where it's just Amma and I in a room.
Exactly.
So it's more,
Your word
your word
mine.
against theirs. And that's where the back and forth
exactly.
usually happens. And in this case, because it becomes a whole, type of, there are messages between the two of you where you have shown a lot of, enthusiasm and excitement towards sleeping with this person, then it becomes a bit strange to another person but why are you now saying that this is a strange thing, right?
Yeah.
Which becomes a bit of a concern in a situation like that.
Definitely.
And that is why, for me, I say that, as me, Natalia, I mean, in the first instance of the first thing that turned me off, bye-bye. I don't want any later problem. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want that situation where I cannot explain what is going on. Because if it's not something I'm into, you won't find me dead near this person, honestly. Because that is what it is. But if it's the other way around too, like if for any reason something turned me off or whatever, I'd have the conversation that, I'm sorry, but tonight, for such and such reason, whatever you think this is going to, it won't happen.
Forget
Maybe
about
let's reschedule, let's do tomorrow night or whatever. So that he also doesn't feel like, oh, but you're being unfair or whatever.
True.
But I'm very firm on, if it's not something that you believe in strongly, don't do it. Because then sometimes I find that some of the women, you really can't tell where they stand.
Yeah.
Like in one breath, I like this man, he's sexy. In another breath, I'm in his house, but I don't want him to touch me. Like, I'm confused.
Make signals.
That's human, though.
I'm confused. I'm like,
That's
okay,
human.
what is going on? Like, make up your mind already.
You
Yeah,
the
but
woman,
that's
you are
what- yeah, that's
confused.
Yeah.
So how about us then?
That's
know.
human. It happens with men also,
Right.
honestly. It's a human thing. We know that men, excuse me to say, even have sex with mentally challenged women. We
Women
know
also
that,
do.
like, you know,
Right. Well, he said women also do. I agree.
Right?
I completely agree. I have examples.
that's a big
to show.
digression. Let's
Okay, back. Let's
Yeah,
focus.
right. So that's a human thing. There may be instances where men also would want to be with a woman, like want to have sex with a woman, and then he meets her and he's like, nah, no, I won't hit this. Like, no. You know, so if we are using, and you know, like, I like that you've been saying unfair. We shouldn't prioritize men's feelings over women's safety.
True.
Right? If we are concerned about, how will he feel if you say no?
Yeah,
if
but
you
the
say
woman
no,
puts the
then-
safety, the woman made the safety a problem because she happened to be in a space that she didn't want to be in.
She
in the
wanted
first
to
place.
be there. She just didn't want to have sex.
Did
And
she
that
make
is
that
totally
clear?
fine.
Because
but
I think-
did he also say that you are coming for sex? Because if that conversation isn't being had, you're not giving
can
her
we-
the chance
can
to say,
we assume
no, I'm
that,
not coming for
okay,
sex.
so can we assume that maybe he didn't say that, oh, Abuna, when you come this weekend to spend the weekend with me, I'll have sex with you. Maybe he didn't say it, right?
And I also didn't say that I'm coming and when I come, I'll have
Yes,
sex with you.
maybe he didn't say it, but in a lot of ways, he has shown that he will hit that any chance he gets.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe it is up to you to bring up the conversation. That also, what are some of the things that we're looking at doing this weekend? Like when I come, what are we looking at?
But why is
Whatever.
it up to the woman?
Because
See,
you
because
are
we are
going to
always
be the one,
putting the
because
burden
you are-
of responsibility
no, because you
on
are going
women.
to put yourself in a position where, what if this man is not a gentleman
But
and he
why-
won't even
see,
hear you?
So now what we should consider is, why am I feeling that this person may not be a gentleman and harm me?
But it's you should be concerned
so
for your
we
safety.
should consider
Your safety
the roots.
is,
Now
no,
let's consider
I feel
the
like,
roots.
Abina,
That's why I said,
won't you
hold on,
say,
hold on.
okay.
See, let's all calm down.
Okay.
Now, see, let's look at the roots,
Okay.
right? We are concerned for our safety. I totally agree with you. That's a lot of women now.
Right.
Now, why are we concerned for our safety? Because our society has socialized boys to believe that if this woman is with me in a private space, her body is mine for the taking, right? And this is further entrenched by some of these narratives we are pushing that don't go there, he will do this to you, he will do this to you, right? So we are putting in curative measures instead of putting in preventive measures.
Right.
So instead of telling women only to be careful, the bigger focus should be teaching men that, women's bodies are not yours for the taking unless you have agreed, right, that we are going for sex. That's why earlier when you were saying, but he has, that when you come, we'll have sex. I also didn't say that when I come, I'll have sex with you. I didn't say it.
Right.
We both felt like we like each other and when we meet, we'll have sex. And then we meet and one party says, I don't want it anymore.
But
Why is it unfair for the man?
A
Won't it be
conversation
unfair?
that, don't you think that is a conversation that, I mean, realistically, right? I've been in this man's company and unprovoked, he's rubbed on my thigh, right? And has made certain remarks or has leaned in a certain type of way. And it's very evident that this man, if you get me, he'll go chop me. No qualms. So if this man in question is asking me to come and spend the weekend. The same man. But he hasn't said that, when you come, I'll chop you. But I've seen all the signs. I feel like maybe I like him and I want to be in his company, but I'm not up for the sex. I should bring up the conversation before I pack up and go. That, Mr. Guy, I know that this is where we are, whatever, but I'm not trying to have sex this weekend. So if that is what's on your mind, I'm sorry, but that will not happen. Hear how he feels and what he has to say about it. Then after that, if he gives me the, confirmation that, don't worry, come. Then I can go and I'm clear in my mind that we are on the same page. But if I rather go because he didn't say me, I didn't ask, when this man has shown me all the many signs that this game I get it, I will chop you. I'm sorry, then I'm also not being very responsible. Yeah. Wouldn't you say?
Then both people are not being responsible, not only the woman.
I get that, but you should also, I mean, we're both not being responsible, but I care enough about my safety and the peace of mind that comes with the space I'm going in. So I would want to find out. And I feel like maybe that's something that a lot of people should try to do. Instead of rather ending up in the space and now doing the back and forth and, but why you didn't tell me this and that, me too, I didn't tell you, and all of the wahala
okay, but
may come with it.
If a man will also be upset that when I come, and I say I won't give him sex, like he's going to be upset about it's something that bothers him, he should also have the responsibility to say that, hey, when you come, you know, I may want to do this and that.
But
and
he has
is
done
that
that already.
okay with
He
you?
has communicated that already.
No, you didn't say explicitly.
No,
you did, yeah.
no, he has
like
communicated. He hasn't communicated that explicitly with you, but he has in so many ways before that weekend.
He has said he likes me.
He hasn't
He's
just
rubbed
said
my thigh.
yes.
Right.
So all of those are indications that this man wants to sleep with you.
And
He's
yes,
made it
maybe
clear.
I may also have entertained that.
Right.
So we've both made it clear that we want to sleep with each other, right?
Yeah.
But we go on this trip, and I'm going on this trip
Right.
thinking, okay, I want to sleep with this man, but maybe not on this trip, right? And we both haven't
Say
had
it
the
before
conversation.
you go on the trip.
I get
I'm
to,
sorry.
no, Natalia, I get to
Say
a
it
point.
before you go on the
yeah,
trip.
but what I'm also saying is that, okay, I have the expectation. I do not have the expectation to have sex, right? That's why earlier we were saying that if you know that it's going to bother you if he makes the advances, you initiate the conversation, right?
Yes.
And I'm saying that we shouldn't always put the burden of responsibility on the women, because if he is also going to be upset if I don't give in, mind you,
also
you
has
mentioned
to
that we
say,
shouldn't be
yeah.
unfair to them and, you know, consider they will feel bad. If he's also going to feel bad and really be upset, then he should also try to initiate this conversation. After all, he's the one, like they say, he's the one spending his money. So he's also being irresponsible with his money by not trying to initiate the conversation.
Yeah.
So we all have the burden of, you know,
the
so it's
responsibility
communication.
is not just on one gender. I think that's
Exactly.
I think that's what we all have agreed
Yeah.
on. It's not the responsibility of one gender to bring up the conversation on consent. And also, all the indicators and all the body language does not mean consent in its entirety. Even though Leslie believes that to a certain level,
Yeah, to a certain level.
to a certain level.
I mean,
Circumstantial.
Circumstantial.
you see, some of these
You're
things.
removing. So imagine, gosh, I'm the host. I shouldn't be talking this much. Imagine, you know, this person is on the holiday with you, right? And then maybe they sleep naked. Oh my God. Anyway, yes. Okay, yes, go on.
Well, I think what you see, the whole thing is about. There's this video that I saw of two people and their interactions with a lion. One person was trying to put his hand, I think there were some women around, so he was trying to put his hand in the cage. And then the lion bit the, I think eventually he lost that finger. There was also another video where another man was, you know, there was a whole fence. He was trying to get his hand under the fence, and the lion kept pushing him away. Surprisingly, same animals. Do you understand that? But different reaction at different points in time. Okay. What is the story behind this? A lion will always be a lion. So if we tell people don't get close to a lion, we are telling you because of the safety that comes with you not getting close to the lion. You understand that? Let's take, for instance...
Please don't say men will be men.
No, no.
Okay.
No.
I hope that's
People
not
will
where
be-
you're
Because
driving.
if you say
People will
it,
be
Abner
people.
will beat you.
Yeah, people will be people, okay? People will be people. I've seen women who also actually get on social media and then say all sorts of stuff about a man that they accompanied to a trip and they thought something will happen, and then shaming him, calling him gay, calling him, sometimes even to the extent that they even think he has sexual, you know,
He's not functioning.
yeah, he's not functioning well. You know, and there's something that people say. When a woman wants it, but you, the man, you don't, it becomes an advertisement for sexual enhancement. But when a woman does not want it and a man wants it, then it becomes a rape case. I mean, that is to tell you how powerful consent is when it comes to the female. You know, because sex is deemed as something that happens to the woman.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, that is where the consensus begins. Sex is something that you do to a woman. Sex is something that happens to a woman. Men can never be raped in Ghana. But if we flip the script and suddenly, let's say that Parliament gets together and then, fine, now men can be raped. Because in most countries, now men can be raped. Do you think the story we are projecting now would not change? It will change.
Right. Okay. Abna, let me hear what you have to say. We're wrapping up, by the way.
Yeah.
So, Abna, what you
My
have to say?
final
Yes,
words.
what your final words?
Yeah, that will, I would say that consent is an emphatic, enthusiastic yes, or communicated through an enthusiastic body language. A woman agreeing to do anything with you, go on a trip with you, come to your house, doesn't equate consent. If you make an, even if she's flirting with you and you make an attempt and she says no, she has the right to say no.
Yeah.
It's her body. She has body autonomy. It doesn't matter how much money you've spent on her. Her body is not a commodity. Women are not vending machines that you put in money and sex come out. It doesn't work like that. If it's so important to you that when a woman comes to see you or when you travel with her, you want sex and it's not something you would negotiate, make sure you discuss that up front. And ensure that she has said yes. And even with that, when she comes, she can still say no
Change
if
her
she
mind.
doesn't feel. And you can say that, okay, if you're not going to do it, then
Bye-bye.
please
This is
pack
your
your
home.
things and go home. Because
What
we
if you don't
agreed.
have flight money?
That's
You use a ship. You go by road.
yeah, no, because I mean, this is where the fairness comes in. If we both have agreed that when we go, we are going to have sex, right? And we get there, and she says, "Oh, I have changed my mind." You can, instead of trying to force your way, you can say that, "Okay, this is the agreement we had before coming here. Now you are saying no, and I cannot exist in this space with you without having sex with you. So I need you to go." She has to go. Because she agreed to this and now she's saying when you don't want, so you don't want.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
All right, Amma.
Well, a lot has been said, a lot has been learned as well.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
But I believe it all boils down to communication, clear
Totally.
communication, the ability to say no and mean no. Because there is this belief that a woman's yes may mean no and no may mean yes, and yes or no may mean maybe. You have to prove yourself. So it's a lot of work. We need to keep educating the public, talk more about not just women's safety, but men's safety as well, because it's a whole when it's a man and a woman. So yes,
That's
thank
awesome.
you.
Your social media handles, because I'm sure when people are watching you, maybe they may want to get in touch. Leslie is a legal practitioner. If you have fall into any trouble, call Leslie. He'll come and save you. How can people find you?
Facebook.
Okay.
Same name.
Okay. Leslie.
I don't really do the Snapchats and the rest.
Right.
I think my best is Instagram and Twitter.
Right.
Yeah, same name.
Okay. Obviously a millennial. Abna, how can people find you?
So I'm a difficult she on Instagram
Okay.
and on X. A loud she on TikTok. I'm actually going to change that to a difficult she as well, so it's all.
Yeah.
And then on Facebook, I'm Abena Beniwa.
Okay.
So
All
I'm going
right.
to do
Great.
like a difficultly loud she.
A difficult.
Actually, my
Or
TikTok
a
bio
loudly
is a
difficult.
loud, difficult woman.
A loud, difficult woman. Something not a lot of Ghanaian men want to see.
That's the point.
That
actually.
is the point. And Amma, you've taken a break from social media.
But it's still there. We
But
can
it's still
be,
there.
That's,
So if people want to reach you.
that's the AN Labby.
Okay. Okay.
Simple.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on Duvet. I've really enjoyed this conversation,
You're
I
most
must say. I'll invite you a lot more to talk more about some of these things. And you at home, thank you so much for staying with us through the show. We have enjoyed your company. So help us God. We will do this all over again next Saturday, 10 p.m. My name is Natalia. Connect with me on social media at Yes, I Am Natalia. And if you do get the opportunity, try out our sex position of the week with someone who gives you consent. Yes? All right. Enjoy your night.